What's up, people?
Hello, squishies.
Is this working? Is this gonna work?
Hello,
Hello,
minasan.
everybody. Kaitou, do you want to introduce yourself? Say hi to the people.
Yeah, sure thing. So everyone, I am Kaitou Luminous, the first mod of the Mama Drawk and Drawk Show. I was
True.
actually the person who suggested they get mods because I've been around this community a long time and I've seen how vicious people can be when trying to spoil.
That is true.
So,
Some people are wild. There
I
was
call
a person.
Kaitou Kaitou because, so if you're wondering, who the heck is this Kaitou person? That's a person I call Kaitou.
So today, gonna be casual. Kaitou is gonna share her theory about Nola, and we are going to. I wanna try to fit things together because we've been talking for a bit about instruments, songs, ancient weapons, and it feels like everything is coming together in the manga right now. And I feel like if we work hard, we can figure out some of it before it happens. But I don't currently know any of it.
What does this say? And what is dimension piece? Where's dimension piece? How does K-R K-R-L-Y. How do you say it?
Oh, Carly.
Carly, are you new here? I'm asking genuinely. I'm excited about it. But are you new here? Because they're like, what is dimension piece? And I'm like, wait a minute. Do we have a new human in the midst?
We may have a new human, the Newman, if you will.
I do feel like I should specify the theory is a little bit less about Nola and more about his grandfather who Nolan killed.
I feel like people know little enough about Nola's grandfather that it is.
Fine, let's do this thing. Let's start with Kaitou the Kaitou.
Okay. I did write down the theory last night, so is it okay if I just start by reading it out?
Go for it.
Yes, give her.
Okay, so I believe...
wait. Just be regular for us to jump in and ask questions and annoy you, because I don't know if you've noticed, we're annoying. Okay. That's what we do.
Okay, so... my cat's here. Anyway, I believe like Zunisha in the Iron Giant, Nola's grandfather was a companion of Joy Boy who was entrusted to guard the poneglyph in Shandora.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm 100%
already in. Especially because we see the first road poneglyph being entrusted to Zunisha, who we...
And then they kill him! And then they kill the dang snake!
Well, if you take a look at the size of modern-day Nola and compare him to his grandfather 400 years ago, during the flashback, they are approximately the same size, meaning his grandfather was at around 400 years old then, making him alive during the tail end of the Void Century. As for why I think he has a connection to Joy Boy, there are a few reasons. The first is Kalgara's daughter says the day before she's to be sacrificed, why are you crying, Mama? I'm going to meet the sun god. This, along with the shaman of the village earlier in the chapter mentioning they pay tribute to the gods through the great Kashigami, indicates the village believed or no, Grandpa Kashigami himself is a direct connection to the sun god, aka Joy Boy. Now, this makes sense if you remember that during the flashback, it had been 400 years since the kingdom fell alongside Joy Boy. The ancient Shantians must have known back then Grandpa Kashigami had a direct connection to the sun god, which is why over the years, they grew to worship him alongside their other gods, making sense the fact his name translates to Oak God.
Carry on my wayward
during 400-year gap, his connection to Joy Boy was changed / somewhat forgotten over the years as his legend was only passed down through word of mouth. Much like how in real life, real myths and urban legends come to be through details being changed over generations of a story being told. So naturally, they wouldn't have all the details. Another reason why I think he has a connection to Joy Boy is the fact that that snake species is found literally nowhere else in the world, not even elbaf. Where do they come from? How big do they really get? What is their lifespan? After all, both Nola and his grandpa have lived to be about 400 years old and are still quite spry. So it would make sense that Joy Boy, as the first pirate, could have found these snakes somewhere in the world. Or maybe they were even native to the ancient kingdom. As for why Grandpa Kashigami was entrusted to guard the Shandigan's poneglyph, it's simple. Not only does that poneglyph lead to the ancient weapon Poseidon, but it leads to the ancient mermaid princess, Joy Boy's friend. Joy Boy wanted Kashigami to protect his friend, which makes sense. Those snakes are flippin' tough. Even modern day Nola couldn't get scratched by Wiper or Zoro's efforts. I also realized something very interesting recently. Ancient Jaya, Alabaster, Fishman Island, Zo, and Wano are all islands we know a poneglyph was placed / relatively unmoved. After all, the one on Jaya kind of moved a little thanks to the knock-up stream. And there's something Ancient Jaya has that, well, Ancient Jaya is missing, the other islands have. A direct connection to the ancient kingdom or Joy Boy. Alabaster is the home of Nefertari the Lily, who was seemingly responsible for the stones getting scattered all over the world. Fishman Island was the home of Joy Boy's friend, the ancient mermaid princess, aka the ancient weapon. Plus, this is where the promise boat Noah and the apology letter poneglyph was left. Zo, aka Zunisha, was a confirmed friend of Joy Boy's. Wano is not only the island hosting another ancient weapon, but is where the stones were first created in the first place. But what's Ancient Jaya's connection to Joy Boy? It's missing. Sure, they originally fell in a massive battle to protect the bell and have sworn to, quote, hold your truth in your heart, keep your mouth shut. We are the ones who weave history with the reverberations of the ancient bell. Which does signify greater importance to the bell, which we will talk about, Mama.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Just letting their ancestors know they are there and housing the bell. But it doesn't really give us a link to Joy Boy. There's also the fact that when Muse is getting sacrificed in the flashbacks, the Shandians alongside the sun god mentioned the god of the rain, the god of the forest, the god of the earth, who could have been 3 other mythical zone users who fought alongside Joy Boy. But the 4 gods mentioned in the sacrifice, it was always the sun god referred to first, or just him exclusively, implying the sun god was the leader or the captain of the 3 other gods. Which is why I believe Ancient Jaya's mixing connection to the ancient kingdom and Joy Boy is Nola's grandpa, Kashigami. That's the theory.
That was like a master class in snake lore.
No, there's a lot here.
Holy shit.
It makes me think about some other things that I can... It got some other threads connecting that I want to talk about later when we talk about the most recent chapter. By the way, check TCB scans for 1132. Is that what just came out? Because I want to talk a bit about it tonight. I have said for a long time that I think we can track a lot of the of this by looking at what I call Joy Boy's crew, because being the first pirate, I think it's his crew. I think Joy Boy's pirates are where we're going to see the connections, all the allied kingdoms, all of the peoples he had a crewmate from, or all of his crew being left and being an important part of a kingdom. And this ties in so well with that.
Yeah, one thing I like about it is there's not really any loose ends to argue against.
No, like, I also just like something that feels... Anything that feels like there's no friction points, that it fits in very cleanly and doesn't require information that we already have to be re-explained, I think immediately carries a lot more water to me. And like,
agreed.
All of this feels like there's no extra assumptions you have to make. There's no extra information you really need to add. This just does fit with all of what we have right now. The idea that, like, of course, yeah, Nola being connected to the sun god and just tying the sun god in with everything else. The only part that I'm not like immediately like, oh yeah, that's totally probably a thing, is that the other gods come from Joy Boy's crew, because that might be the case, but it might not. Like, it doesn't feel definite. But I feel like the idea that their sun god is Joy Boy makes a lot of sense, especially because I've been thinking for a long time that the Elbaf war god is also Nika. That was the thing I was talking about a while ago, and we're now seeing that that might be true, but it might be that their sun god is and the war god is something else. We're kind of finding out right now whether or not that's true.
Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting last month when I was thinking about the theory, and I was like, wait, we know a bunch of islands where poneglyphs were placed / never really moved, and they all have a connection to the ancient kingdom. But where was ancient Jaya's connection?
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's no like clear-cut connection to Jaya, whereas like we can see what it would be for everywhere else. We know what it is for Zoe, etc.
Yeah, and I didn't want to make any assumption about
No, wait, stop. I was gleeking out and thinking about something else, like literally connecting a whole bunch of other crap. So say it again.
Which part?
I don't know. You said something and
I was just saying I didn't include Whole Cake Island in that guess because we have no clue if the poneglyphs were there originally or she took them, and I couldn't really include elbaf since there's no poneglyph there yet.
Yeah, I feel like elbaf probably has a poneglyph. Like, it just feels like it has to at this point. Because, like,
if they don't, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
It kind of brings back that egg question, too. Like, if we're talking about a dude sailing around on a boat with a weird-ass egg.
Oh, my God. Back to the egg?
Could it be a snake egg?
Not everything needs to be an egg. But, oh, my God, but it could be a snake egg.
But it could be a snake egg.
It could be a snake egg, but not everything needs to be but the egg. Also, snake eggs don't look like that. They're soft and kind of marshmallow shaped.
Right. No one asked you to think about what snake eggs look like. You know what else there isn't is knock-up streams in the real world. So I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah, I also just find it weird that all three of the snakes, Nola, his grandpa, and his dad, have been male, yet we've never seen a female.
Yeah, 100%. That is weird. Oh. It also explains another level of why Nola is so important to you, amongst the other ones that you talked about before, which were beautiful, and then made me cry about the snake even more. But I also like the idea because, like, if we're talking about the Great Bell War and how Jaya was torn asunder and we put the knot, and I think it was there on purpose, blah, blah, blah. But the way that Nola worked with the bell and how it called to something ancestral with inside them really supports your theory as well. Like, the second the bell went off, their connection to that bell was immediate and they were like drawn to it, calmed by it.
Thinking the bell could have sort of a snake charmers effect like you would see in those Indian films.
Yeah. Like, it is the thing that keeps those snakes attached to that lore if they were guardians. And then it's the preservation of all the ancient weapons and the ability to call them forth, guarded by a giant snake. Like, it makes so much damn sense. It's ridiculous.
To mention, this isn't just any ancient weapon. It's the mermaid princess.
Yeah, exactly. Damn. Kaitou. I'm loving this.
Something that this just made me think of, that not directly related to this, but related to the arc, related to Skypiea. I just got thinking about how many mythologies involve a snake that eats the sun. And Luffy the sun god being swallowed by Nola in that arc just becomes kind of interesting when you think about that.
You are not wrong. That's gorgeous.
That's something I've never thought about.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's a common thing in mythology, is a snake that eats the sun.
There's a lot of snake myths. I've heard a lot of people mentioning Nola's connection to like Jormungandr or whatever his name is from Nordic mythology. I
think something like that.
Norse mythology with Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent.
I don't think that would be the one, but who knows?
Oh, God. That starts to ask questions about if the snake is coming back too.
I feel like Skypiea is coming back.
I feel like we need to see the species again.
So something this has made me think of is that all of the weird shit we see in Skypiea is genetically engineered from the Lunarians. That they were genetic masters. That everything we got in Skypiea, all the dials were genetically engineered to be technological items because the idea of these being natural feels very strange. The same way Lunarian powers seem very strange, and we see like traces of their transformation all over in all sorts of different peoples, with the red eyes, white hair happening. And one thing this got me thinking about is that the Sky Islands were definitely created by them, because while we see them talking about how you have volcanoes release trace amounts of this stuff, we see that Vegapunk used the Ancient Kingdom's technology, which was likely the Lunarians, because they were the gods of the world at the time. We see Vegapunk being able to use this ancient technology to create his own Sky Islands to hold up the lava phase, which makes me feel like the Sky Islands themselves were created by the Lunarians. I don't know what this means. It's just a thing that this made me think of that has kind of started to connect more dots, that the islands themselves were probably made by their technology.
They did say they can also form naturally thanks to underwater sea volcanoes, but Lunarian, Shandians, Brickens, and Skypians also came from the moon, so.
Yeah, because they said they can form naturally, not these are natural Sky Islands. What made the Lunarians? I mean, I think the Lunarians are probably the ruling class of the... My theory has been that the Lunarians were the ruling class of the Skypian, Shandians, Birkins that came from the moon, because you'll notice when we look at the people coming from the moon, all of the ancient glyphs, there's only 3 types of people with 3 shapes of wings. People who look like king aren't on there. So my theory is they were the people, they were the ruling class, and they are called Lunarians because Lunarian basically was the name of the society, so the ruling class keep the moniker is my kind of read on it, and the ruling class genetically modified themselves to be unkillable so that they and have a limitless power supply so that they could rule as gods.
They also just left the moon first because they knew it was a dying planet.
Yeah, that's my theory as well. Yeah, they left because it's a dying planet. There was nothing there. And it's also why Eneru has these memories of the moon being land of the gods, because the people who called themselves gods in his culture, the ruling class Lunarians, were like, yeah, that is our home. We are from there.
Is that a claim then that Eneru would be a lot older than he's perceived to be?
No, I think it just got passed down weird over the generations.
But he also seemed very surprised by the people that were on it, and then had that weird battle and was surprised by the artifacts and the
I don't think he had all expected any of what he got.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think there's something else going on in there as well. I don't know what it is, but I like your theory.
He could have formed a fantasy in his head of what he thought the Godland was like, and he didn't expect it to live up to his expectations.
I'm honestly hoping we're going to see a bunch more.
Yeah. He probably was expecting something like Mount Olympus and instead got
a barren rock.
I think there is a bunch more though, because he makes it clear that he came from somewhere. So we're saying like he didn't come from the moon. There was too much about it that surprised him when he got to the moon.
He came from Burka for sure, because when because we know he destroyed it.
Exactly. So now I'm like, how much more is there in the sky? What do we not know about yet? And here's my question that I hope for, which I think is such a long shot. It's ridiculous. So let's just put that out there. That we're going to find through the life tree that there is an ability to get to other levels.
Is the life tree. Jormungandr.
Or sorry, Yggdrasil, not Jormungandr. That's the, that we're going to go through Yggdrasil, and that we're going to find that there are connections to, because it says heaven at the top. So what if heaven is more than just beyond for heaven for dead people, because there's a land of the dead beneath? And what if in this case heaven is a connection to the other worlds that are in the sky?
I mean, the tree on Elbaf definitely does reach into where the Sky Islands would be, which I feel like is how they're going to reconnect with Vivi for sure, but we'll see. It could also
But I'm also hoping it reconnects us to other places that we weren't aware of, that we might get to see some kind of more Lunarian lore, and that we might actually get to see some stuff about like where Eminem is from and that kind of shit.
I think we're going to get more NL lore when we get more stuff with Mad Monk Rouge.
I feel the same way. His wing shape is broken.
He has the same wing shape as Birkin.
Yep.
And they've done nothing with him so far.
He's like the only one of the worst generation we haven't seen anything from.
Ooh, I think we're coming up to some I think it is short moments before we are into some crazy lore connecting.
Some things are going to happen for sure.
Which is why I really wanted to get my theory out before they dropped any lore dumps in elbaf,
really
or we got a chance.
No, you're not wrong. Same with like they put the stuff out about Shanks, and the connecting and how Shanks is their boss in that little last part. And I'm not going to talk about it too much, except for to say on a separate note, it started to make me think about what Shanks is doing around the world. Shanks moves too quick, shows up in all these places, protects those who are weaker. We already know all that shit. But he has this connection around the world in his movements that I think that he is aligning, strengthening, and creating alliances globally for that whole idea of like, this is the person that I talked to, remember Straw Hat Luffy, remember the name, da-da-da. It started to make me think about how he could be going around the world and actually strengthening all these connections that Luffy is going to need later on, because he is aware of what's at the end of the line and he knows what's going to happen at the end in some way.
Strengthening feels like the wrong word, because we've already seen that the big thing that makes him worse than Luffy. Yeah, the big thing that makes him worse than Luffy is that he leaves people weak and dependent on him. Like, he's okay. He's protecting these guys' freedom with his own strength.
I don't mean strengthening people. I mean strengthening for Luffy.
What you gotta, like, setting them up to like him?
Yeah, setting people up to want to help Luffy and to be part of Luffy's like larger worldwide crew, because I think that he's trying to set some shit up so that Luffy has an easier passageway, and that there are so many people that we are unaware of who Shanks has been working behind the scenes to set up to be on Luffy's side. Because here's what I was thinking about the other day around this. Sorry for popping off, but I'm just gonna pop off for a minute. And then everybody
that's the whole point of today. That's what we're doing.
Normal.
Literally, that's literally our goal.
So I think that if you think about the fact that he said specifically Straw Hat Luffy, then you think about the fact that Roger had the straw hat on. We have the hidden straw hat that's behind the scenes. So clearly there's something else going on with the straw hat we're not aware of yet. Some sort of power, some sort of marker, or something that's going on. And then he's been gone for all this time. We haven't seen him be a large presence. We've even seen Dragon. I mean, Dragon is just looking in a direction, but we've even seen Dragon be much more of a presence than the person that we were introduced to first in the story. Which says that if he was...
Every time Shanks does show up, he does accomplish things. He makes major changes to the story every time he shows up.
And that's his role, but he also shows up after shit has occurred, right? And everyone stopped their shit and got their act together right away at Marineford when Shanks shows up, which is like, okay, so Shanks has way more power than we're aware of and as a much stronger person. So obviously what he is doing is incredibly important. Because otherwise, I mean, why is Usopp's dad not gone back to see him? Why is he still traveling around the world? He's not collecting specific things. He's not fighting anyone. He's not trying to gain more territory. So then you have to ask yourself, what is he doing that is large enough and important enough that he is traveling all throughout the world and continuing to do this? Usopp is continuing to not be a part of his own son's life. How many others have children, including him? And yet... something important is going on. So it started to make me think about, like, what would it look like if he was setting up a situation for Luffy all this time, creating kind of like an underground connected acceptance or help. There's a word I'm not getting. There's some sort of shit word I'm not getting that was being set up all the way across. And that's going to be part of our Dimension Piece discovery, is the way in which Shanks has been using it and how Shanks has been able to move throughout the territory so that he can actually keep his finger in the pie. Because like you said earlier, Luffy leaves people stronger. We talked about this a million times. When he leaves a place, he insists on people having agency and strength so that he is not leaving a vacuum. Whereas if Shanks isn't around to help people out, there's a vacuum. So his quick movement is also necessary for him to get to places and people so that he can help to protect them. But what else is going on behind the scenes that's important work? And I think that important work is the movement towards helping Luffy's long-term cause. That's all.
Okay. I think that's not wrong. I do think the whirlpool theory, just because it's been brought up a few times, of this whirlpool that can take you anywhere in the world, being how Shanks moves so fast, it makes sense to me. It being tied into Dimension Piece, I could see. We'll see how it goes.
No, I don't think it's a whirlpool. Like, unless it was what? Ennie's Lobby, and everything is just like Ennie's Lobby, and it's not a hollow.
It's been said a couple times that people have talked about undersea whirlpools that will pick you up.
Yeah,
and
the
spit
movement
you
that
out
we've seen
anywhere in
in the
world.
boat has been underneath and blah, 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 but there's more. There's definitely more to it. Paladin wants to know if I believe in a hollow earth theory. No, but yeah. But no. But yeah.
IRL? No.
No. No, I really think that there's a way to use the dimensions. Dimension Piece is becoming ridiculous. And there's 2 other creators now who have jumped on board Dimension Piece.
True. Look, I think there's something to this. There's something to Dimension Piece. What exactly it means is difficult. Where it ends, like, okay, hear me out. It's like, do I think aliens exist? Yes. Does that mean everything we can't explain is aliens? No. I feel like, do 100%. I believe Dimension Piece is real? Yes. Does that mean everything we don't understand right now has to be Dimension Piece? No. That's where I'm at with it. I want to find the borders of what is and isn't Dimension Piece, because it's
first of all, every single thing is aliens, and second of all, Dimension Piece rules the world.
Yeah, of course. That must be.
There is one thing I've been trying to figure out with Shanks for the longest time. Mm-hmm. We know he was found in a treasure chest by Roger as a baby, and we know he's basically a celestial dragon's child. How did Shanks find out he was related to celestial dragons if he was raised from infancy on Roger's ship?
Yeah, that's a worthy question to ask. Because you need to be saying, like, okay, did Shanks know? Did Shanks know where that came from? I think it would have to be something about Shanks knowing where the treasure chest came from and who they stole it from, and that it was in a place which was Celestial Dragon.
Didn't he pick it up after God Valley?
Yeah, he would have. But it wouldn't have been, there wouldn't have been a beautiful treasure chest full of treasures there that weren't the Celestial Dragons. It wasn't a really rich, amazing area for other people. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by Drawk creating the world's weirdest cry mouth on my face.
Yeah.
What? This is just normal cry mouth.
He could have approached Shanks after he started getting wanted posters. After all, that's a very distinctive shade of red hair.
This is a normal cry mouth.
It's not a normal cry mouth. Okay, I'm trying to look at some of the things that I wanted to go through eventually. I feel
bell
like
theory?
The bell theory?
Yeah, your ancient the bells, the musical instrument.
That I already know, but
can I just say this is very important real quick. Carol the Bells is a terrifying fucking song. I don't know why we pretend it's like a happy Christmas song. And also in choir, if you're a tenor or an alto, Carol the Bells doesn't give a shit about you. That is a baritone and soprano only piece as far as the composer of Carol the Bells is concerned.
Second soprano over here.
Yep, there you go. Carol the Bells likes you. You're valid.
Yeah, my Girl Scout troop sang that at an old people's place once.
Genocide?
What?
Carol of the Bells about the Armenian genocide?
That explains so much.
That explains the vibe for sure.
I was mainly bringing it up because I know you're obsessed with it.
Drawk had something that he wanted to talk about the instrument.
I just want to try to puzzle this out because I agree with you that the song matters. That Bink Sake most likely is the song, it matters, and that I believe you are right that the bell has greater importance yet, and that it's connected to Nola. Nola reacted to it, which makes sense if Nola is the connection to the sun god. What are the other instruments? Guys, was there a drum on... Am I crazy? Was there like a drum or a gong or something on the Noah?
Hear me out on that. I started to wonder if Drum Island is actually a drum. Because where is the drum in Drum Island?
I mean, it's just the big things, you know?
The mountains are shaped like drums.
Exactly, which is dumb. Unless they actually were.
Something on it. I feel like the Noah had a thing on it, right?
Yeah.
We didn't really get to see the interior of the Noah.
No, but on the deck. I feel like there was a thing on the deck that we saw.
I just think that it could, one of the ideas that I have is that it could be navigational, that it's a system built by great kingdoms to guide the ancient weapons, that the sound will pop off other sounds, and that those sound waves are actually the thing that will guide the ancient weapon.
Drum Rockies. The plateaus were called the Drum Rockies. That's why Drum Island is called that.
Yeah, but I think that they could actually make sounds like drums.
For navigation makes sense. It's how Nolan found the island in the first place through hearing it in the storm.
So I started to wonder if the bells could be like a form of navigation, that when they're hit, the resonance of them is actually a thing that's used to show the directionality of where you're going to. I started to wonder about what is it, kind of like a sonar or a beacon that pinpoints the ancient weapons. I also wondered if all the ancient weapons have to be above the water for the bell to activate. If the bell can be rung, but once all the ancient weapons are up, if the bell is rung, it activates all the weapons.
Not sure. If only we could get Princess Shirahoshi up to the Sky Island for vacation. We could test it.
Yeah, but it could be that we have a bunch of different musical instruments, and that the Skypea one that's now in the sky but would have been in land is directed to Uranus, which is a sky-based weapon. And so it is the activation or control for that weapon, and that there would be a place on Uranus that would be set up for the bell to be a part of, and it would become a part of the weapon itself. So you got to think about, like, is it possible in that case that each weapon has an accompanying musical instrument? Also, is there a tone, a song, or a thing? Is Bink Sake going to matter, especially after it was once again just mentioned recently? Because the very first person that Luffy wanted was somebody who is a musician, which makes you know for sure that it has to be something like that. So it started to make me wonder if Ancient Weapons is going to be connected to a sound-based thing as well, and musical thing.
Is it possible one of the missing instruments is underwater, like say either in the ocean because it rose so high, or even inside Wano's borders because of how much it flooded during the time?
Could absolutely be. Yeah, I keep trying to think, like, there's got to be something. Poseidon controlling the Sea Kings, and the Sea Kings are sensitive to sound and communication. It might be a frequency alert. There's something there with it being a frequency alert or a navigational system or part of the system that actually turns it into a weapon. Oh my God, it would make the long-armed music guy way more relevant. Apu?
Or at least the previous user of his devil fruit.
Which would make Drawk happy. He loves them.
Carly's back. I can say the thing now. You guys ready for other evidence I have that I believe the giants were part of the ancient kingdom? In the newest chapter, we see the Straw Hats ride up a rainbow that has been made physical and tangible by a special prism that they have on this island, right?
Yeah.
We've also seen, I believe, the Lunarian technology being used to make the clouds that are tangible, that were also made by some of the dials. Now, hear me out on this. Where do we see tangible light constructs in the series?
Tangible. Why are you calling them tangible light constructs?
Because
but yes,
Egghead built the ability to interact with holograms based off of technology.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Kingdom.
Oh.
See?
Yeah. Look at you, Drawk, with your brain on.
Check out the big brain on bread.
Was building it off of the same technology that the giants are using, which is technology from the ancient kingdom that the giants are using.
That's really cool.
I bet the only giants who are using that technology, though, are the royal class up in heaven.
Perhaps. Still, we've seen it, and I think it's real.
I'm liking it.
Oh, Giant Jack was already up on Skypea before half of Jaya was sent up there. It's how it got stuck in the first place.
Yeah.
Paladin.
Giant Jack just happened to be up there. Dorian, bro.
Yeah, most likely
it's probably people in the middle.
Got sent up there as a sprout and grew like crazy.
So I think this is more evidence to my liking that we see remnants of the technology of the ancient kingdom seem like weird parts of the natural world in this setting.
I wonder if the ancient kingdom had anything to do with creating log poses.
I would imagine.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be there.
Yeah, I feel like the magnetism on the Grand Line was probably there doing all told.
I think that the log poses are definitely ancient kingdom technology. It's really strange to think about looking back in time to Joy Boy and realizing that Joy Boy was living in a world that was far more technologically advanced than the world we're looking at, and yet he's so far back.
Also a much faster world because the sea level hadn't risen when he first set sail.
Yeah, a much more connected world. Okay, because we're here, I want to do some dimension piece pop off. So we can
I just want to reference something. I just want to reference something before we move on, because you mentioned like that Shanks barely is in the series, and it's true. But can we talk about how crazy it is that like every time Shanks shows up, he's just ending a career?
Oh my God, I said it was 25, first of all, and then Pantless looked it up and it's 26. So like, holler for my amazing ability. And second of all, you are not wrong. That is very true. We see Shanks almost effing, arfing, fucking never. Yep. Never.
Yep.
And then he shows up and he's like, oh, hey, it's me, Shanks. I'm about to drop some truth bombs on the world. And you're like, oh my God, what's going to change
because
now?
Streamlabs hates me. I'm so loud on every other app. Craigbot files, I'm loud. And yet on Streamlabs, I'm quiet. I don't know what happens. Oh, speaking of, I forgot Craig.
They think you're quiet because for me, you're insanely
I don't know
loud.
why it's just as one app that thinks I'm quiet. I'm going to bring in Craig. I've used OBS before. I just don't like it as much. And it thinks I'm loud. So it's just Streamlabs doesn't like my audio.
I just want to work on them because I talk about Dimension Piece, and so I want to go through some of the different things I'm thinking. Some of them are dirty still, some of them are clean, some of them are working, some of them are broken on the side of the road and smoking. And I don't give a shit. I love them all. All right, here we go. So I think the Dimension Piece could be a connection between all the different dimensions. Obviously, that when you go into the parallel dimensions, whether you're going through mirror, whether you're going through door, it doesn't matter where the shit you're going through, that all dimensions go into the same place. I think that when you go through these dimensions, that they are all maybe even layered is the word for it. So that like you're in the same place, but you don't know how to move between the dimensions. So you can't, unless you know dimensional movement and unless you can connect the dimensions together or like tying them together or stringing them together, I guess, because it's a string theory, then you couldn't move through them. But if you were somebody like Shanks, who had the access and you knew where the dimensions were and how to move through them, then you could almost sew or string the dimensions back together. And so I think, oh, that's what's going on is Oda was like, I will stop her from having any words. And so he is like the Windwalker of dimensions. He's the string walker. So when people started to talk about like the other string theories about how we can keep so much power in the strings, I started to think to myself, like, what might Shanks have access to hidden in dimensions that he has found over the years? And how is he going to use them and put them into the right hands in order to make the right side of history win this time in a war that people didn't know they were continuing to fight? And so that is just a popping off in a random direction of some things that I thought might be so cool if Dimension Piece exists and if Shanks has the ability. And then it ties Laftel to Ennie's lobby because it's perpetual daylight, mysterious bottomless pit, blah blah blah.
The mysterious bottomless pit is dimensionally displaced instead of just evaporated.
Exactly.
Which explains why water can't fill it. It explains why sea levels rose instead of sank, because now the ocean just can't go in this space. This piece of space has been blocked off in another dimension. It actually
takes away space from the world that they're in, and that's why the water goes up and doesn't go down. Because if that was a hole that the water was going inside of, well, in that case, then it would actually shrink the level of the ocean, not increase the level of the ocean. So it doesn't make sense that when you take away an island, you think there would be more room for the water to go down. So therefore, or spread out. So therefore the water would go down, the displacement theory. But instead it goes up, which makes you wonder whether or not the displacement is around dimension. And then we saw that happen with the new thing, and I was like, ah ha ha, yes.
True. She was like, ah ha ha. We were all there. We remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I think that's the same thing that can attach to Laftel. Like maybe there's something going on there so that it sits outside in another dimension and you have to gain access to it in a unique way. And I really hope so, because that would make me so happy. And then that would mean that the One Piece treasure exists in another dimension that not everybody can get to. But if you meet the right criteria, and maybe part of that right criteria is this stupid straw hat that acts like a key now. Maybe that's part of the piece. So I just keep thinking,
I love how One Piece theories make everyone sound like a lunatic. Like you just said, maybe it's the stupid straw hat that acts like a key now. Now, are you wrong? Not necessarily. Who's to say? We don't know anything. However, you just claimed that a hat is a key. That did happen, and it
almost feels like a fingerprint, if you know what I mean. Like, why did Emu keep the other hat? Why does that hat there? What does that hat gain access to? And what does this hat gain access to? And Roger had this hat before and clearly left it to Shanks and probably thought Shanks was going to give it to Ace eventually. And the hat is being passed down in a way that it feels like a freaking key. Who gave it to Roger? That's the question that we need to find out, is who gave Roger that hat? Because if you think about the messages that are hidden within weaving, and the way that weaving has had such a hold on society, and then the beautiful moment of Ace weaving the hat for oars, and how they've brought this theme back in, it is more than possible that could be some sort of a thing that's going to help us get into that dimensional space.
Yeah, but Mama, Roger didn't have the hat on his ship when he went to Laugh Tale. Buggy was sick, and Shanks stayed behind with him on another island while
and
Roger's
Roger
crew
wasn't
went to
able
the
to do
island.
what he had to do. Roger wasn't able to do what he had to.
Roger didn't finish the job. That's what I was about to say.
Did you know back when people thought the island was called Raftel, they thought the island was submerged underwater and would only float up like a raft when the person came?
You could see that. The only reason I knew it was Laugh Tale is because 100%, if Rogue Town is actually Logue Town, then Raftel is actually Laugh-Tale or Laugh-Tale.
I just thought of the way it would be a key, which isn't a secret cipher or whatever. We've seen it be like rewoven and broken, and that's not like disruptive to what it is.
Right. We've had it sewn back up in an interesting way.
The way it would have to be a key is that it would act like the rope. It would act as something that hockey was put into.
Yeah, and that it unleashes it. Because you wonder, was it just because they were there too early and you needed the people to move to the future and and that there's some sort of future guiding sense, and that's why the hat wasn't with him and he left it behind and told him, give this to my son one day, or what? Who gave it to him and what difference does it make? Because we have the great big hat inside of the cold room being stored by Emu, there's more to it.
Yeah, the hat on top of the coffin.
Yeah. So there's more to it. Plus, they are called the Straw Hat Pirates and Straw Hat Luffy. So there's more to it.
Which does feel weird that stuck when you could have gone with Rubberman Luffy.
Or later Sun God Luffy.
Sun God Luffy, Rubberman Luffy. Like there's a lot of options. Like if red hair is enough to distract from a straw hat.
Exactly. Red hair Shanks. But Straw Hat Luffy? Come on. So then the other thing that made me wonder is, how do you get rid? You don't just drown it, because we would see all of it. So yeah, you want to drown it and you want to keep people away from the fishmen and have people not going underwater, because there's a bunch of shit down there you don't want them to see from the missing time. But also, where is all the rest of the shit? There's got to be more stuff coming out from the Void Century. So one of the fastest ways to get rid of it would either be to chuck it into the void if you were the bad guys and that's how you were doing it, or to hide it in the void in a dimension piece. And one of the reasons then it could be called the Void Century is you created a void within the world when you sent it over.
Sorry, say that again?
One of the reasons it could be called the Void Century is because you took all these treasures, these technologies, these items, and you put them in the void, the dimension, at the war to save them and keep them safe. So it's a void century because there is literally a void of history and items and people missing.
Maybe even snakes.
Maybe even.
So that is one of the things that I started to think in there. So if you think about all the different amazing devil fruit we have that connect into different dimensions, like the door.
Paladin, they just burned the books.
The what?
Paladin said they also had history books, but I'm like, no, they just burned them.
And they only had some, and they're few and far between. Like, imagine how much would be missing from this world if we went to war right now and we were trying to hide shit like nuclear bombs, blah, 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 and stick stuff away, and we had access to a dimension that we would be like, okay, like, how do we get all this shit inside of there? And then there would be a void left in the world, a void left in our history, a void left in the way that we told things, because we literally stuck them in the void/dimension, trying to keep them safe. We have
seen the world government hide stuff instead of destroy it so that they can preserve it for their own use.
Exactly. And then you've got giant, go ahead.
I just wonder if that giant creature we saw in the fog at the end of Thriller Bark connects to the Void Century in any way.
I feel like that was just...
Hey, I'm trying to remember which one before you pop off.
When they were leaving Thriller Bark, the narrator came on mentioning how countless ships were vanishing in the mist, even before the island entered the triangle, and then through the fog you see this giant silhouette.
Right.
I just wonder if that
Somebody mentioned that earlier too. Somebody was talking about the Florian Triangle monster.
Yeah.
I blame Drawk.
We don't see more islands from the calm belts. I'm sure those must have something on them. After all, they're the hardest islands on the sea to reach.
Yeah. I was just also thinking about the empty throne too of Emu, the ruler unseen or the rule unseen, could relate to the dimension piece. Like Emu operates from within the dimensions, sits on the throne from within the dimensions. It's not actually empty, influencing without being seen.
I mean, Emu had the power to kill Saturn from a quarter of a planet away, so
yeah, you just gotta wonder, like, is Emu in the
But that was specifically someone sworn to him. Maybe Emu can't do that with everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. But you gotta wonder, just like, is it actually empty or is he sitting in it dimensionally? Just as an idea.
Does Emu care about Vivi? Because Vivi is not only a D, but looks a lot like her ancestor, Lily.
It's classic vampire shit. You know how often vampires are like, man, this person looks like the person I used to be in love with. Now I'm obsessed with them. And the person in the modern era is like, this is like incredibly, the vibes are off. You can't be, this isn't okay. Like, we have to acknowledge
also
how
kind of a serial killer mentality, like how serial killers go after the same type of people because they have a certain trait or look.
Creepy as ass. I think my most likely why the dimension is there.
You can move on.
I think that the dimension was created by the Great Kingdom to protect its knowledge and treasures from the 20 kingdoms that became the world government.
Wait, what Great Kingdom? I think what are we talking about?
I think the 20 kingdoms that became the world government. You know, the kingdoms, there was 20 of them. They came together and they became the world government.
Yeah, I think
that the reason that the void and dimension was created, and that they call it the void on this side or the void century, but it's really a dimension century, is because I think that the Great Kingdom wanted to protect its knowledge and its treasures, and it created the void in order to and use the poneglyphs as keys to access and navigate to it.
You keep calling them friends the poneglyphs.
I call them the poneglyphs. And then
I think seen the lack of a T in this word, right?
Finish this theory before the end of time, and then you can.
All right, you go. Then I'll tell you, my guy. There's no T. Keep going.
Yeah, my dude, I'm not a guy. You wouldn't be here. So I think that the poneglyphs serve as a key to access and navigate the dimensions. And I think that Shanks already knows how to do that, whether he knows how to get to where Laughtail is or whether he wants to. And he's like, I don't want to, because here's what I'm doing and here's what I know. And so I think that the Celestial Dragons may be aware of it. I also think that our main man Flamingo is aware of the dimensions.
I don't think he is. I disagree. I think the secret just is.
I don't think he can access them. I just think he knows about them.
I know you brought it up because of him mentioning he knows the secret. I don't think he knows about that. Yeah. I think the secret is just Emu. I think that's the secret he knows about.
Yeah. Okay. And that would be enough. But and then I think that in the end, every single member of the Straw Hat crew is going to have a specific thing that they need in order to align and to be able to go into the dimensions to retrieve treasure at Laughtail.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be in like a prophecy way. I think it'll be like they'll all need their individual skills.
Exactly. It's going to be in a goofy kind of way, but it's going to be like just kind of prophetically adjacent. And the last thing I think about that is that the Nika Nika powers have a hidden connection to the dimensions that allows Luffy to break barriers to access. And I think we're going to see that at the end.
It does give Luffy to enforce.
Yeah, I think that he's going to have, he doesn't know it yet, but he's going to have some sort of dimensional navigation or dimensional breakage in my universe. So that's so far what I have in Dimension Peaceland. Dimension!
Oda did choose what questions to answer, and he specifically mentioned that devil fruits are limited by imagination, and he's mentioned in a recent Q&A, he chose this question to be one of the 10 he would answer, where Luffy gets the items he seems to pull out of nowhere and says they come from his fantasy world. What if that is the dimension being accessed to create things, to summon magma, to summon strings, is a dimension of dreams, of a dimension of possibility. That is how he pulls goggles out of his hair.
It's like an Acme black hole. And you're right, giant hammers, giant this, that he doesn't even know he's doing it, but he's accessing a dimension and already breaking that dimension. Damn. Yes.
Well, he already has been, like, Oda said that in an interview, but like
that is just so much more evidence for Dimension Piece. Dimension Piece.
I was thinking maybe the islands themselves of the 20 kingdoms could be on ley lines that are significant to the dimension. That's why those particular 20 kingdoms fought. Because they knew they had a connection.
And I would be here for that all day long.
And these ley lines could also probably be used as express travel throughout the world, meaning all Shanks needs to do to get to a certain place quickly is travel to
between the ley lines.
Kingdom is closest to where he needs to go.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
There's definitely something to the Minx power up being based off of a full moon when they seem to gain many of the traits of a Lunarian when they transform. You've
been obsessed with the Lunarians for a long while.
Because I think it's the core of it. Because I think it's the core of it. Because I think they are the ancient kingdom. They are the thing that was in charge of the world. We know they were the gods. We know Joy Boy rebelled against them because if they were the gods, who is he a pirate against? Who was in charge when he became pirate? We know the world government took over after, so they weren't in charge before. This all tells us the Lunarians were in charge, and they were the ones likely building all this tech. So I think if Dimension Piece is a thing, it has to do with them. It has to come from them and be connected to them in a way. And I'm thinking about how involved Oda was in Film Red, right? And in Film Red, you've been talking about how you think these songs are important. We see a song be what's used to awaken the weapon, Top Musica, I think is its name. And I just keep thinking about, like, there's something to this weapon being stowed in another dimension, being connected to another dimension, being awoken by a song that feels like it ties in. And I'm trying to put that together with the fact that I think Lunarians are involved. But I've also been thinking about the idea that, like, if the Lunarians invented devil fruits, and Zoan fruits are one of the devil fruits they invent, I've been thinking about how I think a lot of the different races in One Piece were created by Lunarians, that they made them for different purposes. And to me, the Minks seem as though they could be a first draft at Zoan fruits.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Or maybe just a permanent Zoan fruit, and they gave them a limitless lightning power instead of a limitless fire power like they gave themselves. Maybe they came later. The Lunarian advancements on their own bodies came later, and that's why their powers are different of power generation. But it feels like the power generation thing is, I don't know, there's consistent traits between all the things the Lunarians have and the things the Minks have. The Minx super form. The Minx super form is activated by looking at the moon, where the Lunarians are from, this thing associated with divinity. And the Minks have an endless power generation, just like the Lunarians do, with their ability to generate lightning.
Yeah, I do. I like that theory.
I don't know what any of this means, though. It's observations that I can't put together into anything.
I think that we were given a hint, and that's why Oda was so involved in Film Red. Like, I knew I wanted to watch Film Red, but when we watched it, I was like, aha. I think this is like Skypiea and Jaya, that there was so many hints inside of it for what the end game is and about Dimension Piece in this case. Because, like, Film Red showed us, it introduced the concept that you could manipulate alternate realities directly into One Piece. It suggests that, like, you can create dimensions or you can alter spaces. It also said that there was, it's a separate plane of existence, reinforcing that you can lock things away. Because it says, like, here you create this and you can lock people's souls away in this space. So that's showing us right away that you could lock away objects, people, or knowledge in a void century inside of Dimension Piece. And then it gave a clue about the nature of the One Piece, because it described it as a utopia where people can escape the hardships of reality. And it mirrors, like, the theme that the One Piece is a better world that the ancient kingdom may have fought to create. So it almost says, like, there's an alternate reality of awesomeness and perfection for all people that's hidden within the dimensions. And that the One Piece might be the connection of all the world. Like we said, the giant party for everyone, which is funny, but that's because the One Piece is literally, the earth is a one piece again, that is a better world for everyone, where elites can't tell you how to live or have so much power. Why'd you make that sound?
Basically, with the One Piece, the world becomes Pangea again.
Kind of.
So but Pangea, like, Pangea Castle was named after the world it used to rule. Pangea Castle, the world that used to be on top of the world, sure, but Pangea Castle used to rule a connected world, a world that was together.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
the government, the world government took over by binding together. So they sunk the world to stop the next people from taking over, to stop the new rulers from rebelling, because they were able to take over only by uniting, only by being able to unite against the gods, against the Lunarians.
Yeah, exactly. And so then it also proves that idea that like things like the Golden Bell are going to have meaning, because it showed with her song and the accessing other dimensions through music that the Golden Bell and other instruments could act like Uda's singing, serving kind of like a medium or an access to communication with the dimension piece, that it can unlock or activate the pathways through vibration or resonance like her thing did, because in Film Red reinforced the importance of sound vibrations hitting certain kind of like scientific principles that created access to the world she had. So it very much could be like a certain sounds within the world made by very specific instruments could gain you access into this other one piece of world, that there is one piece or one kingdom, one Pangea like place that is a utopia with inside Laugh Tale if you can just use the right keys to access it.
I think I put something together by what I said there. Hear me out on the, I think this is the story pre-Void Century, and I think we're going to find some stuff to complicate this. I don't think this is going to be exactly right. Okay. I think the Lunarians were oppressors who came from the moon. They arrived, they dominated the world, and then they needed subjects to rule. They then modified the life forms of the planet they arrived on. They altered them in whatever ways to fit their journey by taking the base people that were from that reality, the humans, and modifying them. So they made buccaneers to be invincible soldiers and to wield devil fruit somehow, because we know there's been hints that they're better at wielding devil fruit somehow, to have these enhanced souls that have been talked about. The buccaneers were created for that purpose. The minks were created possibly for energy, possibly to scout, whatever. Giants were created for construction and labor. And the basic unaltered humans were the peasant class. And a bunch of humans were able to unite together. Joy Boy's crew, and basically hated all the others who'd been given a better lot in life, which is why they were punished afterwards. That retroactive thing of the lesser overthrowing their betters and becoming the oppressor, right? That happens all the time throughout history. Joy Boy didn't see the world that way.
Huh? I was just about to say, I think the Third Eye Clan was probably used for intelligence or being able to memorize certain texts.
And the long arm people were used to be weird.
So
well, every court needs a jester.
Joy Boy was a human who, unlike the people who rose to take over for the sake of humans, Joy Boy had a crew that was very diverse of everybody. It was all sorts of people on board the Joy Boy Grand Fleet. They were all his friends. It wasn't like that. You know, he wasn't going to be like, yeah, no, I only want a certain type. No. Joy Boy's the good boy.
Oh, he's a dog.
Okay. Then at the end, after they overthrow the Lunarians, the human rulers betray Joy Boy after working together because he represents a type of freedom that doesn't allow them to be in charge.
Yeah.
That's my reading. That's what I think the case is. And the humans who took over broke the world so that people couldn't rally against them in the future.
Broke or hid? Like, hid.
Yeah, little column A, little column B.
Kind of like tucked away. Just very like, let's just tuck this away. Right here. Let's, whoop, tucked.
Mm-hmm.
What did we see coming out of, speaking of which then, what did we see coming out of the weapons on the picture with NL? What chapter is that NL picture? We always do this, and I always need access to it. I just need to write that shit down.
I always just Google NL cover page story.
Thank you. NL cover page story. I wrote that song.
That's a really good song. Is there will the Lunarians be the ones who produced the devil fruits? I believe so. I know everyone says it was the humans who did it to overthrow them, but it doesn't feel like it makes much sense to me when they are the ones who are shown to have all of the power. Like, the Lunarians were in charge of the world. They were the genetic engineers. They made themselves indestructible, right? Like it feels like it makes more sense if the Lunarians created the devil fruits to me, because the humans destroyed technology at the end of this. They weren't the ones in charge.
Oh, Mama, I was thinking that since we pretty much decided that Nola's family was the guardian of the Golden Bell, maybe the other significant musical instruments will have guardians animals too.
They better, because then I'll be
guardian
mad, and they
animals
better
or
be
could
cute,
guardian
and
anything.
they better be cute, and they better also be animals. And well, there is, because aren't the kings kind of the guardian and polars of Noah?
Yeah, they are. They also are compelled to obey their king slash queen, who's reborn into the mermaid princess. But
I
that's not
wonder
the
if
end of
there is
it.
a person who Nola would obey. I wonder if Nola would obey Luffy with who he is now in comparison to who he was then.
I think Nola would obey anyone who'd give him a hug.
Aw, sad.
There's a bunch of One Piece theories saying that Nola is a girl.
They always use male pronouns. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently in some of them they're using female pronouns. And that I think is relevant to us only because of whether or not they can make more Nolas, not for any other reason at all. Because that part is irrelevant.
They're adorable as babies.
The whole different kind of wings, then, how does that fall into your Lunarian theory? Also,
I just think those were the different races that existed on the moon and came down from the sky. That's it.
Oh yeah, the ones with the squarish wings are the Brickens, the ones with the little antennas are the Skypeans, and the leftover ones wearing the most tribal looking clothes are the Champions.
I'm just wondering how they were used in the past, is what I'm saying. Like, were they together?
Weird
Were
they
they
can't
apart?
fly with the wings.
Yep.
Yet this is what I'm saying. Yet the Lunarians can. I think they modified themselves. Maybe they all used to be able to fly and they lost the ability. They took it from others. Hard to say.
Maybe their bones are hollow too.
We need to go back to the dude who died choking on a dumpling, because he's got something going on that he was trying to protect. You know, the dude who made the little robot men with the mustaches that stood there with an L, and he was sitting there and looking at the sky, and then he saw an explosion on the moon and his eyes went bugging out of his head. And he choked to death and died.
Yeah, I thought the explosion was coming from the space pirates trying to blow open the moon and find the ancient civilization.
That was NL up on the moon blowing shit open like a bad kid with the space pirates, right? With the space pirates trying to get in. Space pirates clearly came from somewhere else too, and we need to go through what that is, because we did see them beating ship up and taking things apart, and then NL fights them. And there is weird little monstery critters up there too in the space pirates that we have never seen since or before, that just existed in the space pirates, who all had little weird time pressure things on them. I think we need to spend some more time in that, because it was so, not everything is aliens, Frostfire, but it might be. It was so off in comparison to the rest of the story. And we talked about it a bit, but I never spent a long time being like, why do these guys have little, like, I don't know, pressure or heat gauges or clocks or whatever the hell it is inside of their tummies or chests? And why did we see a bunch of people? Robots. Yeah, but why exactly? And then why do we never see them again? Why is that it? Where are they from? Because some of them weren't little robots. Some of them were little, well, not so little, like the blue dude who looks like, I'm not going to say what he looks like, because people get all mad at me because.
What? Sorry, what were you about to say they look like, Mama? What's up?
I'm not going to say what they look like, because people get all over my ass about the fact that so many things in here are phallic. That is not my fault. I didn't draw the boobs. I didn't make the penis people. All I do is notice them.
Maybe the space pirates look that way because they're wearing spacesuits, which Oda designed in his own unique way.
No, this is a blue dude. It is a blue dude who is pushing on a piece of machinery, and he is not a pirate of space, it looks like, and he doesn't have a pressure thing. He's just a giant, happy, penis-adjacent dude.
Is that what he calls it?
I don't know what to tell you. But you know what else I couldn't help but notice? That when you're going into the underground city that floats in the darkness, when NL is up there in Spaceland, it is so similar to the Jaya kind of, or not Jaya, to the Skypea kind of secret world. So there's an underground city that floats in the darkness up on the moon. And I found the pages that are all done in, and then what does NL say? Let's attack the town for now. Like, Okay, weirdo, pop off. And then all the robots come out of the walls. But it looks kind of Skypiea adjacent.
Yeah.
You know what?
No,
you know what I've decided? Wrong. You know what I'm going to do this week?
What are you doing? Investigate? Besides
Berserk? reading all the berserky things.
You're supposed to read Berserk. That is true about this.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the moon. It's time. Also, there are snake-looking things here inside of the picture, the hieroglyphs, that look very much like generations of Nola's family. And there are 3 suns, which makes you, and they're lined up. So there's a number of snakes that line up, and then there's a number of suns, which either says that there is going to have to be a sun god of 3 pieces, 3 different races, or that the 3rd sun god will be the interesting sun god that does the work. So if it was 3 suns, yeah, there's a bunch of questions that come up because of that, because there isn't a single sun, there's 3. And that kind of, to me, draws the question of whether or not we are going to have the 3rd sun be the meaningful sun god, or if there's going to be 3 at the same time, or what?
For the chapter 472 hieroglyphs, people have speculated those depicting the 3 ancient weapons. The fish on the very bottom representing Pluton, the sort of sun in the sky being Uranus, and then the ships, the automata are standing on being Pluton.
That's kind of what I believe, yeah.
But I think the fact that there are 3 suns is meaningful. He could have just made 1.
I think that they are the mother flame. They are the limitless power source they used to have.
Are you talking about the ones that are just suns, just yellow circles?
Yeah, I think those
balloons they wrote down to the.
I feel like those are suns that are the power supply, but you know what? Anything's possible. Could be either of these.
I'm not talking about the sun in the center. That is the one big sun. I'm talking about the 3 suns hanging over each of the races.
Well, Loki did say he's the 3rd sun god. That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I think those are balloons because earlier we see the 4 automata from Earth take balloons to go up. I think those may be sort of balloons to go down.
And they are holding them and they go up, blah, blah, blah. But it also feels representative that like they are controlling, manipulating, or making 3 things. I don't know. I'm going to look at these pages some more and spend some time with them and just make it my friend. I'm fascinated by Enel.
Okay.
He is the villain that deserves most to come back.
If he doesn't come back, I'm going to be angry.
It's kind of the villain we need to come back because, like, otherwise, what is the moon?
Yeah, and like, what are all these different races, and who are these pirates who are robots, and why isn't there more information?
He also probably just has the one devil fruit a good chunk of people on the black market are looking for.
That's true.
This space thing, that's definitely not from our scientist. Maybe the white dwarf star used for power source. Could be. Paladin. Could be. Exactly. He has the drums on his back. Like,
I mean, he is a Raijin. That's Raijin shit.
I know, of course it's Raijin, but putting him there.
Came up, I'm gonna show some Raijin shit because I did a cool design that I want to show off.
Putting him there with the drums on his back, though, would be a really cool way.
To see my
I will, but let me finish my sentence.
Okay.
Putting him there with drums on his back might be a great way of doing that, though. Like, an amazing way. Okay, carry on now. The thing of One Piece will never take an inspiration of a single story. Yeah, 3 suns could be crazy. Exactly, Sitting. That's the thing. So why not look into it? Time to look into shit.
Okay, so this is my favorite critter from my critter game.
Comes back. It's the best observation hockey in the whole series.
Look,
I will love it.
I mean, he has the best standard observation hockey in the entire series because he's able to use his devil fruit to extend his body all over the entire island so he can feel everything. He doesn't have like advanced hockey, it feels like, but his basic is so strong and so broad.
There's no way you can tell me that Nami.
There's
no way you can tell me that Nami doesn't have observation hockey now. Like, now that we're this deep in, why she's able to know things about storms while she's still inside the boat.
All I can say is it wasn't confirmed, so I wasn't gaslighting you. It wasn't confirmed. Anyways, we mentioned Raijin shit, so I just want to bring up, this is my favorite critter I've designed for my critter game so far. His name is Maband, and he comes in 5 forms, and he's adorable.
I like him, and I honestly mean, like, out of all of your critters, I think he might be my favorite.
I like Pipe.
Pound his drums with his golden staff to make a lightning dragon appear.
He did. That is very, very Raijin of him.
Oh my God. Did I tell you how we need to get back to old theories and start to... I was thinking that you and I should do a dive through shit and say, what are the things that have not been answered yet that we want to make theories on?
I agree.
All the things in one piece. Be like, okay, what are all the things that have not had any confirmed anything on that we want to make a list of and knock off? Doing the stuff. Sister She, you missed some theory crafting, and make sure you go into the Discord because, oh my God, did you see I blinked, guys?
Yeah, you're going to blink. That's the thing I can do now.
Yeah, Sister She, if you go into the Discord under the One Piece discussion channel, you'll find a thread where I shared my Nola grandpa theory, which people really liked.
It was awesome.
I've been waiting so long to share it. Yeah, I will say, Mama, I started thinking of that theory around chapter 1044 when they revealed that not only was Luffy the next Joy Boy, but Joy Boy basically had the Sun God fruit. I kind of was going back over every reference of the Sun God throughout the show, and I was like, wait, they mentioned a Sun God on Skypiea, one of the very best references foreshadowing moments Oda made to the Sun God. Maybe there's more connection there.
Yeah, that's a great one. So what chapter was it in so I can go back inside? 1033?
1044 when Luffy goes for Gear 4.
Yeah.
Like Gear 5 for the first time. That was the big reveal. So I was just going back through the whole show trying to find all the foreshadowing for the Sun God thing.
Listen to me. Drawk. Drawk.
Yep.
Just 2 seconds.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to thank all of our Patreons for
That's a good idea.
You guys kick all the levels of ass. You're the reason that Drawk /Drac. Is it Drac?
Drac, yes, I am Drac of the Drawk Show with Drac's mom.
Is able to do things like he's doing right now. I can't wait for this. Thank you, Patreons. I'm about to be
one day this won't look like this.
PNG. And then I think that if you make me a PNG, I'm going to put secret things on my own YouTube channel that people will be like, oh my God.
You can absolutely do your own YouTube channel with this for sure.
I'm going to put little things on as little reminders and stuff. And then you just kick ass. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe. I'm not going to lie to you. We're really cool. Mostly because we're unhinged. And everybody likes to listen to unhinged people that they then don't have to hang out with. So you don't have to hang out with us in real life being unhinged, but you get to be a part of us being here and being unhinged.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. Sorry if my energy was weird. I have been exhausted.
Everyone.
Buying a house is tiring.
Thank you so much, Kaitou, for being here. Kaitou.
Your theory was incredible.
It was incredible. And you can send us mail to the address that's on the screen. It'll be right near my creepy ass eyes now that my soul has been sucked from my body. All right, Drac, you need to go.
I do. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Everybody have a great night. We love you all. It's been lovely talking to you.